Okay, you guys, today we're gonna be going over how to actually break a bad behavior using applied behavior analysis. Now, I worked in this for 2 years. I had to sit down, take a proctored exam. I had to pass all the questions. I had to have supervision, ton of the time. So this stuff has been used, implemented in action, and I'm going to try to personalize it as best I can to struggles of our current generation. What are we currently going through in our lives? What bad habits do we want to break? First thing is a little bit of vocabulary. So your maladaptive behavior. This is the bad behavior that you're trying to change. So actions that prevent people from adapting, adjusting, or participating in different aspects of life. That phone addiction you have, that eating addiction you have. These are preventing you from living a more fulfilling life. Next is called an extinction burst. So when you remove reinforcement for something, the behavior is going to immediately go up, and this is called the extinction burst. Sudden spike in the undesired behavior when reinforcement is removed. 3, replacement behavior. So this is the socially acceptable behavior that can replace an unwanted problem behavior, and this becomes a new target behavior. So you're going to try to think of a replacement behavior that would fulfill your need or your why for doing the maladaptive behavior, but it's something that's a little bit more healthy for you, a little more socially acceptable. Last one is called baseline data. So this is a set of data that serves as a starting point for future comparison. You are going to judge yourself. What is your baseline data? How many times do you do the action when you are not trying to change it? So we want to figure out what your baseline data is first, so we have a good point of whether you're getting worse, whether you're getting better. That's the baseline data. So typically there's 4 functions of behavior: escape, sensory, attention, and tangible. So whatever your bad behavior is, try to think, does it fit in one of these 4 categories? So the first, escape. Escaping something difficult or unpreferred. Maybe if you are scrolling on social media, you are escaping the negative feelings that are going on in your head. You don't have a coping mechanism in place. So you are using scrolling as an escape. That is your function of behavior. Next is sensory. So something that feels good, like physically feels good, mentally feels good. Attention. Attention from peers, strangers, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is. Attention. And the last one is tangible. So access to something tangible, whether that's food or your phone or whatever. What is actually happening? I know this part might be a little bit boring, you guys, but just stick with me, okay? So what is actually happening? When you have a cue or trigger which makes you do a certain bad behavior, you form a neural pathway in your brain. The more times that you fulfill this neural pathway, the stronger that it gets. So your brain has cleared out this direct path. Every time I see my phone, which is the cue, every time I get bored, I scroll. So this is the neural pathway happening. And the more times you do it, the stronger it gets. This is why quitting is so hard, because your brain has a direct path to the behavior, which has been strengthened over time. The only way to break this neural pathway is to take a different action and interrupt the behavior. So it's like cue, behavior, and it just goes straight and it just gets strengthened. So you have to do something that interrupts it. You have to either do a replacement behavior, you have to figure something else out so that you're not getting over here. You're only staying, okay, I'm gonna do a healthier behavior. Okay, so ABC data of the behavior. So this is what I want you to do, okay? This is what I had to do a lot. Take ABC data on your behavior. So A stands for antecedent, B is behavior, C is consequence. Antecedent is the thing that happens directly before you do the behavior. So what is the cue? What is the trigger? Maybe you binge eat because you are looking at social media and you are unhappy with your life and you're coping by binge eating. What is the antecedent? What happens directly before you engage in this behavior? For men who are listening, a lot of men have corn addictions. So let's say you are on Instagram and you see some girl that you're following who's half naked. That is your cue or trigger that is going to get you to go onto a corn website, and do all of that. So figure out, okay, what is my antecedent to this behavior? What happens before I do this thing? I had negative behaviors of drinking. Okay, and what was my antecedent to this? I was unhappy with myself. I was bored. I wanted validation. I wanted attention. That was my antecedent to the behavior of drinking. What did drinking make me feel? Drinking made me feel good, made me feel social. I was in a social environment. People were hitting on me. There's all this stuff going on. What's the consequence of that? I feel better. I feel validated. I feel, okay, I got this met for myself, this need met. So really think about antecedent behavior, consequence. What does the behavior look like and feel like? Journal about this in detail. What is the consequence of this behavior? What happens to you directly after you do this thing? So when I used to procrastinate a lot, directly after I would procrastinate, I would feel better because I would feel less overwhelmed. I'd be like, oh, I don't have to do this thing right now. Like, thank God. And I just feel so much better. And I'd be like, okay, so my consequence of procrastinating was temporarily feeling relieved, feeling a sense of relief. So you really have to be introspective with yourself and figure out what is happening before, what does the behavior look like, and what is happening after. Why do you think you do this behavior? What are you trying to get from it? I want you to journal on these things. What in your life would give you a familiar feeling without it being maladaptive? If you have self-injurious behavior, and you're doing some kind of sensory thing, maybe getting like something to do with your hands in those moments, that's going to be a replacement behavior that's a little bit more, healthy for you. So think about, what's going to give me a familiar feeling? If you're going out to drink because you want some social attention, like maybe getting that from your partner, or maybe giving that to yourself, or just asking someone in your life for that, maybe going to an event, a high net worth event, doing something that's a little bit better for yourself. What is the why of quitting? Why do you want to stop? How is this behavior negatively impacting your life? What would happen if you never changed this thing? You guys, us with like scrolling addictions, what would happen to us if we never, got rid of this dependence on our cell phones? Like, we would not be able to watch a movie that's over an hour long without needing some other form of stimulation. We wouldn't be able to wake up in the morning without our phones. Like, the negative effects of this are intense, okay? We don't want to be parents, be mothers one day, and not be able to be present with our child because we have a scrolling addiction. We want to be able to go somewhere and listen to a movie for an hour and not feel like we need to use our phone. What happens when the airplane doesn't have any TV, your phone's dead, you have nothing to entertain you? Like, are you going to be able to survive that situation? These negative impacts are scary. If you are a man and you have, a certain addiction, how is that going to affect your relationship? How is that going to affect your woman and her self-esteem and your ability to please yourself long term if you're constantly getting all this novelty? How are you going to be able to have a monogamous relationship? Like, there are serious negative long-term effects of our bad behaviors that we really need to identify and be aware of so that we can stop them. Okay, so now I want you to make it really hard to do the behavior and remove triggers and provide yourself with replacement behaviors. Turn your phone on grayscale so it's no longer stimulating. We're trying to make it really hard for you to do the behavior by stopping it, okay? So how can you stop your bad habits? You can turn your phone on grayscale so it's no longer stimulating. You can get what's called a brick, which blocks your access to social media apps. You can get the 1 sec app, which makes you take a breath and classify why you're opening the app before you are able to open the app. This provides friction between you and your ability to achieve this behavior. What is going to provide friction between you and this negative behavior you have? Maybe, removing all of the junk food from your house so that if you wanted junk food, you'd have to get up, get in your car, drive to the store, buy it. That takes a lot more effort and work and output and expenditure to do that behavior. Whereas if you put friction between you and that thing, it'll make it so much harder to do that. That's the goal here. Think about, what are my negative behaviors and how can I put friction between these things? If you're a guy, unfollowing, all the half-naked women on your Instagram and putting up some blocking apps to that website. Like, simple. Just really think about your specific thing. How can I create more friction between me and this thing? When I feel like doing X, I will do Y instead. When I feel like scrolling on my phone, when I feel like online shopping, I'm gonna do Y instead. What gives me that replacement behavior? Instead of online shopping, maybe I'm just going to put it in the cart and wait a couple days and see if I still want to buy it. What is a more healthy version of your bad habit? Maybe I want to eat chocolate, so let me think of like a no sugar chocolate recipe that might be a little bit healthier for me. So when I feel like doing X, I will do Y instead. When I feel like doing this bad thing, my plan in my brain is to do this thing instead, and just commit yourself to that. So the replacement behavior depends on the function of the behavior and your why. If you don't correctly classify the function and the why, you could be incorrectly reinforcing yourself, which will lead to no progress. You really need to get deep with yourself, figure out why you're doing the thing and what is the function of the behavior. Because if your replacement behavior doesn't fulfill that maladaptive behavior, you're not going to make any progress on your goals. You're just going to be stuck. You're still going to have all these bad behaviors. My next tip is to have accountability partners and daily check-ins. I spend 4 hours on social media apps today, or I spend only 30 minutes on social media apps today. Whatever your goal is, just say that to your accountability partner. Say that to your daily check-in journal. Have a system that asks you, how long did I spend on my social media today? I spent 2.5 hours and my goal was 2 hours. So I didn't do that great today. We need to have some kind of negative punishment. We need to have some kind of, negativity that prevents us from further doing the behavior, whether that's your own daily accountability check-in or whether that's having another person, bringing another person into the mix to say, oh my gosh, you didn't do your goal today. Sometimes we need a little bit of that negativity so that we can stop ourselves from doing the thing. Okay, so reward yourself for engaging in other behaviors. This is gonna be more ABA stuff. As you guys can tell, I love this stuff. Have a schedule to your day. An idle mind is when the devil likes to take over. If you have to time block every single hour with an activity, that's what you have to do. If you are seriously having a bad behavior that you really are worried about in your life, and you need to time block every single second of your day, if you need to literally make a schedule for every single minute of your day so that you don't engage in that behavior, then that might just be what you have to do, okay? Don't judge yourself throughout this process. Just know that this is hard for me. My brain is not wired to delete this behavior from my life. It's actually wired to continue engaging in the behavior. So if I need to make my mind busy and time block so that I don't engage in the behavior, that's what I have to do. And I'm not going to feel bad about that. Never feel bad to do something for yourself and for your betterment of yourself and your good and all of that. Never feel bad. The last tip that I have is very important, and this is nervous system regulation and subconscious reprogramming. If you are not doing nervous system regulation to get in between you and that bad behavior, you are missing out on tons of progress. Okay? Nervous system regulation, such as breath work, is going to calm your parasympathetic nervous system, and get you back to baseline. Okay? You can't be up and down trying to change your behavior. Get your nervous system back to baseline through nervous system regulation, and then think about whether you still want to do that behavior. A lot of the times, these bad behaviors that we have are ways that our nervous system is actually trying to regulate itself. When we scroll, when we go on certain websites, we are actually regulating our nervous system. This is part of our routine for ourselves. And that's why we're so addicted to it. Binge eating might be you just trying to regulate your nervous system. So if you regulate yourself in other ways, whether that's doing a cold plunge, grounding outside, doing breath work, doing somatic exercises, you are going to heal your nervous system, which is going to make it so much easier for you to stop negative behaviors and implement more positive ones instead. And the last one is subconscious reprogramming. So you guys know I love subconscious reprogramming. If you want to get rid of a bad behavior, literally, okay, this is like game. I'm putting you guys on game right now, okay? Go to YouTube and search up 8-hour affirmation track, removing bad habits or removing bad behaviors or decreasing negative habits, implementing positive habits, something like that. Just go on YouTube, search that up, listen to an 8-hour affirmation track on removing bad habits from your life, and you're gonna be golden. It's really not as hard as you may think. Just try out these tips, and if you have any questions or anything about your specific behavior that you want my help with, I do offer one-on-one coaching. I have a 3-month self-love academy, or I can do session by session. If you specifically want to work on a bad habit of yours, I can definitely help you with that. So just let me know, contact me. I'm here to help. If you need any clarification or anything on any of the tips, let me know. And I hope you guys enjoyed.